And good evening. We're going to discuss our Carnival forecast for this coming weekend here on WWL Plus. And as far as the rain goes, it's going to be fairly minimal. Maybe a little bit better tomorrow evening. We'll talk more about that in a second. Now, as far as our parades tonight, we've had a few stray showers on the North Shore, really both sides of the lake, but rainfall has been very, very minimal, about a trace of rain with some of these passing showers very, very quickly, and the same goes for the city. So a couple of little isolated showers. That has been really all we have dealt with thus far. Now, we're starting to see that lower cloud deck. I'm looking at some of our other cameras and kind of a haze in the sky. Could see some patchy fog as we continue through the night because our dew points, the humidity is on the rise, and that current temperature of 64 is actually as warm as we have been so far today. So the current reading at 7 o'clock is the high for the day. What is happening is we started out very chilly, but gradually the temperatures have been either holding steady or increasing because we have that humidity coming back in. So we started out this morning, dew points in the 50s and some upper 40s, but we started out in the upper 30s and low 40s. And gradually, though, over the last several hours, those dew point values have been increasing and will continue to do so through the overnight, which is why our temperatures are on the rise. Why? We had a northerly wind this morning, now an easterly wind. Overnight, that becomes more of a southeasterly wind than southerly wind, and windy during the day tomorrow, but not a cool breeze. It'll be that warm wind out of the south. So temperatures will be on the rise through the overnight, and so actually increasing before daybreak, and will be in the 80s during the day. Could see some scattered showers or at least spotty rain, about 30%, as we go later into tomorrow evening. There's always a question with a cold front approaching how much activity you see ahead of the front. I think the bulk of it is going to be farther to our north, but we could still see some scattered showers and could be not an issue, but something you might have to dodge for the Saturday evening parade. So good idea if you're headed out tomorrow night, maybe an umbrella or rain jacket, and I think you would be just fine, as the bulk of our storms don't come in until after midnight with the cold front. Then we're chilly, and we'll start off next week chilly with a chance of rain midweek and then turning sharply colder by the end of the week. So we're also starting to get a rough idea of how next weekend's parades could be. Let's get through one weekend at a time, though. Here's the upper trough that is bringing in a storm system that is developing across, now nearing the plains, kind of the front range of the Rockies in eastern Colorado. This is going to send a front our way early on Sunday morning. And with that system now well into the central part of the nation, we have a good idea of where and when it is going to move through, because now the sampling of the weather data with that system on land is much, much more accurate. So the computer models are going to do a better job, and they're still indicating after midnight. Have had some showers developing along a boundary up to our north, but really it's going to see a bit more activity as this warm front pushes northward. We are in the warm sector during the day, highs in the 80s. A few spotty showers kind of quickly moving through here are possible later tomorrow evening. So I don't want to say we're going to be completely dry for our Saturday evening parades, but as far as the storms go that you definitely don't want to be outside for, they don't arrive until the early morning hours, rolling across the North Shore starting at midnight to 2 a.m. Around that time is when they're just entering, or maybe not long before that, entering the metro area, quickly pushing across the Bayou region. And notice by 4 o'clock in the morning may still have some showers, but as long as the cold front has already passed, the severe threat is then done with improving conditions. But our Sunday parades will be on the chilly side with that colder air quickly moving in. Now, what we did see in terms of a change in the Storm Prediction Center's severe weather outlook is all of South Louisiana and southern Mississippi are now under that level 2 out of 5. However, we saw the hatched area where you could get those stronger, longer duration tornadoes shifted a little bit more away from our viewing area. So the idea still seems to be most of our severe storms are going to be north of us, at least in terms of a more complex area of storms. And then for the south, or then south of that in the southeast Louisiana, in our viewing area, it's going to be more isolated in nature, whatever kind of severe weather we see. And with most of that coming in after midnight, have the WWL app, because that will notify you as folks are going to bed with those incoming storms. Again, that's usually the downside of the late night, early morning hour storms, is that most everyone is in bed and you're not really paying attention to the weather. Then we're chilly Sunday, starting off next week chilly. We're going to watch this Gulf low develop and send rain our way. For us, it's it's going to be a cold rain. North Louisiana, it could be some frozen precipitation mixed in there. Temperatures here, when this system moves through, will not be cold enough for any wintry weather. Just a cold rain for us. But on the backside of this, temperatures are going to be coming way down. Why is that? We're looking ahead to a piece of the polar vortex moving into the central part of the nation. Now, it's not going to have quite as much of a cold air mass that the one that we had several weeks ago that brought us the snow here, but still plenty cold. And in fact, parts of the plains could be looking at record-breaking temperatures for their lows. We will get in on some very chilly air, and hard freezes are coming back, and a pattern which looks to hold through the next 6 to 10 days. So this is going toward now the next big weekend of parades. We will definitely stay below average. How far below average is still yet to be determined, because we do have a cold stretch of weather on the way by the end of next week. And while I do think temperatures will be moderating by next weekend, it is still going to be on the chilly side. Now, as we get a little bit closer toward the end of the month and kind of the last big weekend of parades, still uncertain. We're still trending colder than normal, but we do look to have kind of a warming trend maybe building up toward Mardi Gras Day. That's kind of a rough idea of the temperatures beyond any accuracy 5 to 7 day forecast. So our storms rolling in late tomorrow night. Again, we could see a few spotty showers passing through during our parades tomorrow evening. By Sunday parades, chilly but dry. High temperatures will stay in the 50s. A cold morning with maybe a light freeze frost north of the lake on Monday. Then that cold rain moves in late Tuesday, overnight into Wednesday. Right now with that Gulf low staying down to our south, not really a severe risk. Could see some heavy rainfall, and that's what we'll probably be focusing more on by mid next week, would be maybe a heavy rain threat. Then we're drying out, and check out the temperatures behind that next surge of cold air. Hard freeze on the North Shore, light freeze to frost south of the lake, and high temperatures staying in the 40s.
Chris, they're going up to the 80s and back down in the 50s and 40s.
And then 40s, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned.
You get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little concerned about people who are going outside. You don't know what to prepare for, whether you should bring the rain boots, should you bring the coat, what should you bring, your shorts, or what?
Everything.
All right, so we'll make sure we bring everything. And of course, as we get more, we're going to have all of your questions right here on WWL Plus and on our WWL Louisiana Facebook page and all of our social media channels, as well as WWLTV.com for the very latest. Of course, make sure you join me, Chris and I. You just heard it right there from Chris. We don't have any questions right now, Chris, but I do know that a lot of people are wondering what this weekend will look like, and you pretty much covered all our bases.
Yeah, just to kind of reiterate for tomorrow, it'll be a warmer day, so you don't need the jackets, but maybe a rain jacket just in case, because we do have a chance for a few passing showers later tomorrow evening. But the bulk of the storms start rolling in maybe closer to 1, 2 a.m. So for folks still out and about tomorrow night, you may want to get those plans inside as we approach the 1, 2 a.m. time frame. That's when the storms would be rolling through. Not something you'd want to be outside for. Still a risk of gusty, strong, straight line winds. Not as great of a risk of tornadoes. That looks to be a little farther to our north, but definitely the bulk of those storms should be rolling in well after the parades are done. The problem is Saturday night, big weekend of parades. A lot of folks are going to be out and about. Maybe kind of wrap those plans up or plan to be inside by about 1, 2 a.m. in the metro area. This is for, not tonight, for tomorrow night and early Sunday morning.
Chris, I always get concerned when we have the temperatures and they change up the way that they do, going up and down, sometimes really warm and really humid to going cold. Does that produce the possibility for, or create the circumstances for a possibility of more severe weather? That
is usually what we look at with these kind of battling drastically different air masses, the warm, very humid air as opposed to the very cold and dry air. That's what gets you the activity along cold fronts, and that is definitely what we're looking at. Usually when we do see any kind of severe weather associated with a cold front, it usually is preceded by kind of a rapid warm up with that Gulf moisture. We're not going to have a prolonged period of that. Again, today has been on the cool, very stable side. Tomorrow we're going to have that increase in instability. But just looking at the way the computer models have been setting up for our storms, I think this is definitely going to be more of a southwestern Mississippi event than much of the southeast Louisiana. Certainly not as great south of the lake. Interesting that the Storm Prediction Center did place all of us under that level 2. But yeah, when you get these kind of contrasting air masses of one warm, almost hot, humid, and another cold and dry, that's when you get the very unstable atmosphere and these more active cold fronts. So again, we're still looking at the potential of severe weather. Not overly concerned as we get those level 2 threats, the slight risk of severe storms frequently during the kind of transitional months. And we are kind of in the transitional period going from winter towards spring soon.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. We're going to have all of this on WWL Plus. Make sure you download WWL Plus to your television. It is free to download and watch all of our shows right there, including our forecast with Chris. And we'll have the latest as well on social media channels. Thanks for joining us.